Have you ever wondered why you keep attracting the same kind of people into your life? The ones who hurt you, disappoint you, or leave you feeling drained, no matter how hard you try to choose differently. Have you ever asked yourself why every relationship seems to follow the same script, the same heartbreak, the same betrayal, even when you swear you've learned your lesson? Maybe you're tired of blaming yourself, of feeling like you're cursed, or of wondering if you're just destined to be stuck in this cycle forever. But let me tell you something that might shake you to your core. The people you attract aren't the problem. They're just a mirror of something deep inside you that you've been refusing to see. As long as you keep running from that truth, you'll keep attracting the same pain, the same chaos, the same people who break you. This is not your fault, but it is your reality. And the difference between those who stay trapped and those who break free lies in one word: awareness. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." And that's where the secret lies. It's not about changing the people around you or becoming someone who avoids relationships altogether. It's about understanding why you attract who you attract. It's about diving into the hidden parts of yourself, your shadow, your projections, your unhealed wounds, and bringing them to light. If you're watching this right now, it's not by chance. This video is for you, who are exhausted from repeating the same toxic patterns. For you, who feel like you're always giving more than you get. For you, who sense that there's something deeper at play but don't know where to start. I'm going to show you why you keep attracting the wrong people and how you can finally break free. But to do that, you'll need to face some truths that might sting. And for the first time, that sting might be the key to your freedom. Let's begin. You believe the problem is out there, in the partners who lie, the friends who betray, the people who seem to take advantage of your kindness. You tell yourself, if I could just find someone better, someone who respects me, someone who loves me for me, everything would be fine. But here's the brutal truth. No one is showing up in your life by accident. The people you attract are not random. They're a reflection of something unresolved within you. Jung called this projection. It's when you see in others what you refuse to see in yourself. That manipulative partner, they might be mirroring a part of you that feels powerless. That friend who always lets you down. They might be echoing an old wound of abandonment you've never faced. These people aren't the source of your pain. They're the trigger. The real pain comes from the story you're carrying inside, the shadow you've buried, the patterns you've never questioned. This is why you can change partners, cut ties, move to a new city, and still end up in the same situations. It's not about who you attract, it's about why. And the why lives in your unconscious, in the parts of you that you've pushed away, ignored, or judged. Here's an uncomfortable truth. You keep attracting the wrong people because on some level, you're drawn to what feels familiar even if it hurts. Jung explained that the unconscious holds on to every experience, every trauma, every fear you've ever had. And when you don't face those things, they don't disappear. They run your life. Think about it. Why do you always end up with someone who dismisses your feelings? Why do you keep trusting people who betray you? It's not because you're weak, it's because your unconscious is pulling you toward what it knows. If you grew up feeling unseen, you might be drawn to people who withhold affection because that's what feels like home. If you learn to earn love by pleasing others, you might keep finding people who demand more than you can give. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That's what's happening right now. The toxic relationships, the betrayals, the patterns that keep repeating, they're not bad luck. They're your unconscious screaming for you to wake up. Let's pause for a moment. Think of the last person who hurt you. What did they do that cut so deep? Now ask yourself, does that pain feel familiar? Does it remind you of something older, something from your past? That's your unconscious talking. And in the next part, we'll dive into what it's trying to say, through the lens of Jung's concept of the shadow. If this is hitting home, hit the subscribe button and join us on this journey. Thank you for being here. The biggest lie you've been told is that you can fix your relationships by fixing other people. You can't, because the real battle isn't with them, it's with your shadow. Jung described the shadow as the parts of yourself you don't want to see, your insecurities, your anger, your shame, your neediness, even your deepest desires. These are the things you hide, not just from others, but from yourself. But here's the catch. What you hide doesn't stay hidden. Your shadow projects itself onto the people around you. That partner who seems so controlling, they might be reflecting a part of you that feels out of control. That friend who's always critical, they might be mirroring the harsh voice you use against yourself when no one's watching. You might think, I'm nothing like these people. And that's the point. Your shadow is what you reject, what you deny. And because you deny it, it finds a way to show up in your relationships over and over again. Let's make this real. Imagine you keep attracting partners who cheat. You feel betrayed, but what if that betrayal is touching a deeper fear, a fear of not being enough? That fear is part of your shadow, and until you face it, you'll keep meeting people who trigger it. Jung said, what you resist persists, and what you refuse to face in yourself, you'll keep meeting in others. Do you want to stop attracting the wrong people? Then stop running from your shadow, because as long as you keep it in the dark, it will keep choosing your relationships for you. In the next part, we'll explore how your shadow forms and why it's so hard to see. Let's keep going. Your shadow didn't appear out of nowhere. It was built layer by layer through your life's experiences. Jung believed that the shadow forms when we suppress parts of ourselves to fit in, to be loved, to survive. As a child, maybe you were told that anger was bad, so you buried it. Maybe you learned that vulnerability makes you weak, so you hid it behind a mask of strength. Maybe you were taught that your needs don't matter, so you became the one who always gives, even when it hurts. These suppressed parts don't vanish. They become your shadow, and because they're hidden, they have power. They shape your choices, your reactions, your relationships, without you even realizing it. Think about the patterns in your life. Do you always end up playing the rescuer, saving people who never appreciate you? Do you keep finding yourself in one-sided friendships where you feel invisible? That's your shadow at work, pulling you towards situations that echo your unhealed wounds. Here's where it gets deeper. Your shadow isn't just personal, it's also collective. Jung talked about how society shapes our shadows by telling us what's acceptable and what's not. We're taught to value strength over vulnerability, independence over neediness, success over failure. So we reject the parts of ourselves that don't fit that mold, and those rejected parts become the magnets that attract the wrong people. This is why awareness is everything. The moment you start to see your shadow, you take away its power to control you. In the next part, we'll look at how toxic relationships reveal your shadow and why they're actually a gift in disguise. Stay with me. Most people see toxic relationships as something to escape, something to curse, something to forget. But Jung saw them differently. He believed that every relationship, even the painful ones, is a mirror, an opportunity to see what's hidden inside you. The people who hurt you aren't just hurting you. They're showing you where you're still wounded, where you're still stuck, where you're still projecting. Let's break this down. Think of someone who's let you down recently. Maybe it was a partner who dismissed your feelings, a friend who betrayed your trust, or a colleague who took credit for your work. Now ask yourself, what emotion did their actions stir in you? Was it anger, shame, fear? That emotion is a clue. It's pointing to a part of your shadow that's still alive, still unhealed. For example, if you feel rage when someone ignores you, that rage might be tied to a childhood wound of being overlooked. If you feel worthless when someone betrays you, that worthlessness might be a shadow belief you've carried for years. These people aren't creating your pain, they're activating it, and that's why they keep showing up. Your unconscious is orchestrating these encounters to force you to face what you've buried. This is not about blaming yourself. It's about seeing the gift in the pain. Toxic relationships are like a spotlight, illuminating the parts of you that need attention. In the next part, we'll explore why it's so hard to break these patterns and what keeps you stuck. Let's dive deeper. Here's a truth that might sting. You're not just attracting the wrong people. You're holding on to them, not because you want to suffer, but because your unconscious craves what's familiar. Jung called this the repetition compulsion, the tendency to recreate old patterns even when they hurt, because they feel safe in their familiarity. Let's say you grew up in a home where love came with conditions. You had to earn it, prove yourself, be perfect. Now, as an adult, you might find yourself drawn to people who make you feel the same way, people who demand more than you can give, who make you feel like you're never enough. Why? Because that dynamic, as painful as it is, feels like love to your unconscious. It's what you know. This is why breaking the cycle is so hard. It's not just about walking away from toxic people, it's about walking away from the version of yourself that feels comfortable in that pain. It's about letting go of the story that says, this is what I deserve, or this is all I can have, and that letting go feels like a death, because it is. It's the death of an old identity, an old way of being. Jung said, there is no birth of consciousness without pain. The pain of staying stuck is trying to wake you up, but you keep hitting the snooze button. You distract yourself. You justify. You hope the next person will be different. But they won't be, not until you change the story inside you. In the next part, we'll explore how your sense of self-worth shapes who you attract and why it's the key to breaking free. Stay with me. You might not realize it, but the way you see yourself is like a beacon, drawing certain people into your life. Jung believed that our sense of self-worth, or lack of it, acts like a magnet, attracting relationships that reflect how we feel about ourselves deep down. If you secretly believe you're not worthy of love, you'll keep finding people who treat you as if that's true. If you feel you have to earn your place in someone's life, you'll attract those who make you work for their affection. This isn't about what you say out loud or the confident face you show the world. It's about the quiet beliefs you carry in your shadow, the ones that whisper, I'm not enough, or I have to prove myself. These beliefs were often planted long ago, maybe by a parent who withheld praise, a friend who betrayed you, or a culture that told you you're only valuable if you're perfect. And until you face those beliefs, they'll keep shaping your relationships. Let's get real. Think about the last time you stayed in a relationship longer than you should have. Why did you stay? Was it because you hoped they'd change? Because you were afraid of being alone? Or because deep down you felt like that was the best you could get? That's your self-worth talking, or rather, your lack of it. Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But when you start to believe you're worthy just as you are, you stop settling for people who diminish you. This is a game changer. Building self-worth isn't about becoming arrogant or closing yourself off. It's about recognizing your inherent value, shadow and all, and refusing to let anyone treat you otherwise. In the next part, we'll explore how to start that change through the process of integration. Let's keep going. So how do you stop attracting the wrong people? It's not about becoming someone who doesn't feel, who doesn't love, who doesn't trust. It's about becoming someone who sees. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of integrating all parts of yourself, light and shadow, into a whole. Individuation means looking at the parts of you that you've judged, the parts you're ashamed of, the parts you think make you unlovable, and saying, I see you. You're part of me. When you integrate your shadow, you stop projecting it onto others. You stop seeing your insecurities in their actions, your fears in their words. And when you stop projecting, you start attracting people who align with who you really are, not who you're afraid you are. Let's make this practical. Start by noticing your triggers. The next time someone upsets you, pause, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Where have I felt this before? Write it down. Those feelings are breadcrumbs leading you to your shadow. Then, instead of judging those feelings, listen to them. What are they trying to protect you from? What old story are they tied to? This is true freedom, not the freedom from relationships, but the freedom to choose them consciously. You no longer attract people who confirm your wounds. You attract people who reflect your growth. But this takes courage. Courage to face the parts of you that scare you. Courage to let go of the familiar, even if it's painful. Courage to feel. In the next part, we'll discover how your pain, yes, the very pain of those toxic relationships, can become the key to your transformation. Let's dive deeper, without fear. You've been taught to hate the pain of toxic relationships. You've been told that heartbreak is a failure, That betrayal is a sign you did something wrong. That feeling, too much means you're not strong enough. So you run, you blame, you numb yourself. But the more you run from that pain, the more it finds you. It shows up in new faces, new fights, new heartaches. Jung saw pain differently. He believed it was a teacher, a guide, a signal from your unconscious, that something needs your attention. He said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Those toxic relationships, they're not just hurting you. They're showing you where you're still wounded, where you're still hiding, where you're still holding on to old stories about who you are. What is the pain of that last betrayal trying to tell you? Maybe it's showing you a belief that you're not enough. Maybe it's pointing to a fear of being alone. Maybe it's asking you to let go of a version of yourself that no longer serves you. The truth is, your pain only hurts so much because you're fighting it. You're at war with yourself, torn between the part of you that wants to grow and the part that wants to stay safe. But when you stop fighting, when you listen to your pain, something sacred happens. You start to see yourself clearly, without the masks, without the stories, without the need to be someone else. And in that moment, pain becomes a gateway to transformation. Let's explore how to walk through that gateway in the next part. Facing. Your shadow sounds daunting, but it's not about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more of who you already are. Jung believed that transformation begins with small, intentional steps toward awareness. Let's break it down into practical actions you can start today to shift who you attract. First, observe your patterns. Look at the relationships that keep hurting you. What's the common thread? Are you always the giver, the fixer, the one who stays too long? Write down the traits of the people you attract. Then ask, what part of me feels familiar with these traits? This is your shadow speaking. Second, feel without judgment. The next time you're triggered by a harsh word, a rejection, a betrayal, don't push the feeling away. Sit with it. Name it. Is it anger, shame, fear? Ask yourself, when did I first feel this? You might uncover a memory, a moment, when your shadow was born. Journal about it to deepen the connection. Third, dialogue with your shadow. Jung suggested active imagination, writing a letter to the part of you that feels unworthy, or the part that's angry, or the part that's afraid. Ask it what it wants, what it's protecting you from. This sounds strange, but it's a powerful way to bring your unconscious into the light. Try it for a week and see what emerges. Fourth, practice self-compassion. Your shadow thrives in judgment, so counter it with kindness. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm not enough, pause and say, I'm learning, and that's enough for now. This rewires the beliefs that attract toxic people. Finally, set boundaries from awareness, not fear. Toxic relationships thrive when you act from your shadow, when you say yes to please or stay to avoid loneliness. As you integrate your shadow, you'll start to set boundaries that come from self-respect, not self-protection. Practice saying no to small things first. It builds strength. These steps aren't a quick fix. They're a practice, a commitment to yourself. And every time you practice, you take a step toward individuation, toward a life where you attract people who honor you. In the next part, we'll explore why this journey is so lonely, and why that loneliness is a sign you're on the right path. The journey of individuation is not a crowded path. Few people have the courage to face their shadow, to question their patterns, to let go of what's familiar. And because of that, it can feel lonely. As you start to see your shadow, as you stop projecting, as you break free from toxic patterns, you might notice something. Not everyone can follow you. This isn't because you're better than them, it's because you're changing. You're no longer fitting into the roles you used to play. The people who thrived on your neediness, your insecurity, your willingness to give too much, they might pull away. Or you might pull away because you no longer feel at home in those dynamics, Jung said. Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself, or from holding certain views which others find inadmissible. As you grow, you'll crave relationships that reflect your depth, your truth, and those relationships are rare. But this loneliness is not a punishment. It's a sign of growth. It's the space where you learn to be whole, to rely on yourself, to choose relationships from strength, not fear. In the next part, we'll see how this wholeness becomes your greatest strength, your shield, your freedom. The journey to stop attracting the wrong people is not easy. It's not about quick fixes or cutting everyone out of your life. It's about individuation, Jung's process of becoming who you truly are. And that means unlearning everything you thought you were. This process is painful because it forces you to confront your shadow. You'll see the parts of you that feel unworthy, the parts that crave validation, the parts that cling to toxic people because they feel familiar. But when you look at those parts and say, "I see you, you don't control me," something shifts. You stop projecting your wounds onto others. You stop needing people to fill your voids. You become whole. And when you're whole, you no longer attract people who break you. You attract people who see you, who challenge you to grow, who reflect the strength you found within. This is what we'll explore in the final part, how consciousness becomes your shield, your guide, your freedom. Let's finish this together. Now, that you've made it this far, let me say this clearly. You will keep attracting the wrong people until you wake up to what's happening inside you. The criticism will keep stinging, the betrayals will keep cutting, the patterns will keep repeating until you choose consciousness. Awakening is not a one-time event, it's a daily choice. It's choosing to look at your pain instead of running from it. It's taking responsibility for your patterns instead of blaming others. It's seeing your shadow and embracing it instead of projecting it. Jung said, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can only be solved by outgrowing them." You've spent your life trying to outrun toxic relationships, trying to be perfect, trying to control who comes into your life. But all of that has left you exhausted, stuck in the same cycle. Now you know, true freedom is not about avoiding pain. It's about understanding it. It's not about building walls. It's about building awareness. When you know your shadow, your triggers, your wounds, the actions of others lose their power to control you. You still feel, you still love, you still trust, but you do it consciously. You choose who enters your life, not your unconscious. And that changes everything. Those who live on the surface keep attracting chaos. Those who dive deep find clarity, stability, power. That's where you're headed. And when you live from that place of wholeness, the wrong people no longer find you because you've found yourself. This journey is yours to walk, but you don't have to walk it alone. Share your story in the comments. Tell us about a pattern you're ready to break, a shadow you're ready to face. Let's inspire each other to keep going, to keep choosing consciousness. If this video touched you, if something inside you is waking up, write in the comments, "I choose consciousness." Let's start a movement of people who are done with toxic patterns, who are ready to face their shadows, who want to live with truth. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, because transformation begins when we stop hiding. Post it on your social media, send it to a friend, or tag someone who's been stuck in the same cycle. Together, we can spread this awakening. And don't stop here. The next video is part of this journey, and it's crucial. Real transformation doesn't happen in one moment. It happens when you keep going. You've taken the first step. Now keep walking. See you there.